All right, hello, thank you everybody for being here tonight. My name is Charlotte Yisrael. I'm your IN.Form coach for this particular IN.Form Metabolic Age Transformation class. We are on our 9-week journey to creating a healthier, optimal you, and tonight we're going to be covering some really super important information to help lay the foundation for your overall health from here on out. But before we do that, I want to introduce the fact that food is information. Food is information. Can anybody give me an idea what I mean by that when I say food is information? Any ideas? I can't think. Perfect example of food is information. Exactly. Food is information. When we put food in, it's giving our body information in which it uses that information to do any other processes that it may have to do, get prepared for some particular digestion, get prepared for sugar that's coming down by preparing insulin, by getting ready to know, hey, I'm getting some amino acids, some proteins coming in, so I'm going to be able to think a little bit clearer. Food is information. So every time you put something in your mouth, you need to think of it that way. It's very similar to when you're working on your phones and you go into an app. You go into that app and you put in information, and then that app calculates that information and uses that information to get whatever data you're looking to get back or any information you're looking to receive from that. So you have to put in the information to get the results back out. So when we think about food as being information, I think sometimes that helps us maybe make some better choices along the way because we know what our body's going to have to do to deal with that. So before we get into the overview of the class real quick, I just wanted to cover a couple of things with Nature's Sunshine and how to make sure you know how to save monies and whatnot with your products and purchases. If you got an order this month, you should have gotten a Rejuvenate sample. By the way, this one is yours, Christy. And so you got 3 Rejuvenates, and there's also a $20 coupon on the back if you received that this week. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of this. We are going to talk about Rejuvenate more closer to week 4 on the cardiovascular system, but this coupon does expire February 15th, so I just wanted to make sure everybody had received one of these if they had placed an order here in the month of January. So here's a paper real quick on how you can save dollars with Nature's Sunshine. Nature's Sunshine, of course, is one of my most favorite companies I've ever worked with just because of the quality and how they really work on, instead of spending a lot of money on marketing, they spend their money on giving rebates and commissions back to their people. Oh, you don't need one, that's right. I'm just going to give you one anyways. So anyways, this little paper here will tell you some different ways that you can actually save money with Nature's Sunshine with specials they have going on. A program called Sunshine Rewards, which I'm going to share with you here in a little bit about. Also, you can text a certain number to them as well and get a $10 coupon, but just want to make sure that you're aware. If you are signed up with Nature's Sunshine, I am very big at sending out any type of specials they have going on and making sure you're aware of that, because I'm always about getting the most bang for your buck if at all possible, especially when it comes to your supplements, because I know that a lot of us can, use a little help in that area at times. But this little paper will help explain that a little bit more to you. I need to figure out where I'm going to put all this stuff as I go through. There's what I forget. Okay, the next thing I wanted to give you is a sheet on Sunshine Rewards. We talked about this a little bit earlier before class started, but Sunshine Rewards is an auto ship program that Nature's Sunshine has. If you're just not really wanting to worry about your orders so much every month, but you're wanting to get free shipping, you can do the monthly auto ship and you'll get free shipping every time you do that. You can adjust your orders up to the very day before your actual order is scheduled to go out. You just have to have 100 QV minimum to meet the requirements, and you also earn a lot of rebates and credits back onto your account. As I was telling Rosa earlier, I've got people with 70 and I've seen up to over $100 of credits on people's accounts just by staying on the program and receiving more benefit. But this little piece of paper will help explain that to you all. And the other thing to make sure that everybody is aware of, as I work in conjunction with Pearson's next door, we have something special for all informers who've actually paid for the class, which includes everybody here, where on Mondays you can get 15% off all Nature's Sunshine products by being an informer. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Anybody who's paid for the In.Form class is honorable to this. There's also something that they have if you're not already on their email list. The third weekend of the month, they send out coupons where you can get 2 coupons of up to 30% off 2 items, not up to, but 30% off of 2 items in the store over that Friday and that Saturday on that. So that's really good too. If you run out of some protein powder, if you need to get a detox or a cleanse, you know, it's a really good way to use that coupon if that's something that you're doing as well. So that's the other option that we have for you also. Okay. So an overview of the class tonight. First, what we're going to do is we're going to overview and review our nutrition portion of the program. We're going to make sure we cover that, and so that everybody knows exactly what we should be eating and how often and when. We're going to cover our SMART goals, which we talked about last week, and our BTA weekly checklist, which each one of you has from your numbers tonight. The importance of water is on our schedule as well. We're going to make sure everybody knows how to get the most out of hydrating their bodies. We're going to talk about proper eliminations. If you haven't been with me before, you know that I'm not shy about talking about poo and elimination and everything else. And so that's something that we're definitely going to cover tonight, making sure everybody knows what that's all about. And of course, we've got homework and smoothies tonight as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, I like a little class participation, so I'm going to do a drawing tonight. So for any of those of you who want to answer some questions, I'll give you a ticket for our drawing. Those don't go all over the place. Get this done real quick. So first thing I would like to know, and if you want to raise your hand, is how many proteins are we supposed to be eating per day, and how do we measure them? Anybody? How many proteins per day, and how do we measure them? 5 proteins per day, which would be 3 meals, 2 snacks. And how do we measure them, Jerry Ann?
With our hand.
With the palm of your hand. So from the bottom of your fingers to the top of your wrist, a 1/2 inch thick. Awesome. There you go, honey. All right, so next. How many vegetables and how do we measure them? Anyone? Go ahead and give it to George.
Isn't it 6 cups of vegetables?
6 vegetables, and how do we measure them?
That and your fist. And then that's a full, for a cup, and then there's a half.
Okay, so what vegetables would fit in the cup category?
Wasn't it broccoli?
Broccoli, cauliflower, yep, and anything that's shaved, shredded, or sliced would be in the 1/2 cup. So, awesome. So there you go, George. There's yours. All right, so let's see if we can get anybody else to answer some here. Anybody know how many greens?
5.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Pam. So Pam, give us a couple of examples. 3 examples of greens.
So, lettuce of any sort.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably about all the greens I would think of. Broccoli, green beans.
Any kind of leafy greens. Guys, can you name any more besides just salad mixes? Spinach, yeah, which would be part of your salad mix, right? Collards, kale, exactly. Now, do we have to eat those fresh or can they be cooked? They can be cooked, yeah, exactly. Or you can put them in your smoothie as well. Awesome. All right, Rosa, this one's for you. How many fruits? How many fruits a day can we have and why?
I can just one. Oh. And I know it's because of all the sugar.
Right, because sugar feeds what?
The bad bacteria.
And what are we getting rid of in this program?
The bad bacteria.
Exactly. So even though fruit is a good, healthy sugar, it still will feed the bad bacteria before it feeds the good bacteria if the bad bacteria is in dominance, which for most of us here it is. So, nice job. Okay. All right, so fats. How many fats, and can I have at least 2 examples? Do you want to try? Maybe? 5, good. So can you give me at least 2 examples of healthy fats that we can have? Avocado, yep, exactly. What else? There you go. Coconut oil, olive oil, you bet. All of those,
Right?
huh?
Nuts,
Well, nuts are considered protein.
protein, but they
The
could,
fat is like a bonus with nuts. Yeah, but we count them as protein on the program. But the fat, we're not concerned about too much fat on this program as long as it's healthy fat. Of course, olives are another good example. Your coconut oil, your olive oil, your hemp seed hearts, which we had in our smoothies last week. We're going to do chai seeds tonight in our blueberry chai smoothies. This is another really good fat. So there's all sorts of different ways. Now, I want to make sure there's no confusion. Do we have to drink all of our fats or can we eat some of them? Both, right. I want to make sure that everybody's understanding that. I had some misunderstanding on that earlier. So I just want to be sure that you know it's a combination of any of those fats, any way, shape, or form, 5 of them per day. Awesome. Okay. So that one goes with that one. Put that one there. All right. We'll put these in for later. We're going to do a little bit more drawing giveaway, or not drawing giveaways, but ticket giveaways here in a little bit. Okay. So now that we've got that down, let's talk about water. Anybody remember on water, the formula for water? How much water should we be drinking in one day?
Half your ounces, half your body weight in ounces.
Exactly. Half your body weight in ounces up to 100 ounces. Yes, thank you, George. So half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're going to be doing a minimum of 75 ounces per day. And if you are doing that 8-ounce cup of coffee or black tea or another type of strong tea, you're going to add another 8 ounces of water to that, because coffee and more of our typical teas are all dehydrating. And so we want to make sure that we're adding extra water in to compensate for the dehydration that the coffee and teas bring to us. Okay? So with that, I want to make sure that you can make your water count. Hydration, of course, is really super important. When we think of the world as it is, what is it mainly made of?
Water, 3/4.
Water. Same as with our bodies. Our body is 3/4 water as well. So it's important, just with understanding that alone, that we need to get plenty of water in on a regular basis. Not only does water hydrate, water detoxifies, water cools, water helps tissues so they don't get all dried up and cracked. Water does so many, it helps with the fluids in our joints. Water helps our blood flow a little bit smoother. Water does so many things for our body, so it's very imperative that we get on the kick of hydrating on a regular basis and getting those hydration numbers up. So for women, our minimum hydration on our BTAs or BioTracker assessments is 45%. So if you're a female, you're shooting for a minimum of 45% hydration, all right? And for males, it's 50%. Males need at least 50% in their hydration. Now that's the low number. You can go a little higher than that, all right? But the thing we're talking about here is we're not just talking about throwing back a bunch of water. We're actually talking about getting hydration, getting water into the actual cells themselves, not just slipping on by and going through the kidneys and going out through urination. We're talking about getting that water actually into the cell. So if you drink 12 or 16 or even 24 ounces of water, just chug it down, your body does not know how to hydrate with that much water coming down at one time. So what it does is it sends it to the kidneys process it, and you have a urination from it. But you never really get a chance to actually get it into the cells. The perfect formula for hydrating your cells is to drink 4 to 6 ounces every 20 to 30 minutes. 4 to 6 ounces every 20 to 30 minutes. And the reason being is when you put in just a 4 to 6 ounces, it's not so much the body feels like it has to do anything with it. It actually will take its time and hydrate with that. That's the perfect formula. If you were to do this during a normal waking hour day, you would get 96 ounces of water in just by following that formula alone, which for most of us here is probably even above what we need to be doing on a daily basis. But that is the perfect way. Now I know it's not always the most convenient way, but just so you know how the body will actually absorb that water the best. Now, we don't want to be drinking water with our meals, Because when we drink water with our meals, as you're going to learn later on tonight, it messes with your digestion. It dilutes the hydrochloric acid, it dilutes the saliva, it dilutes, you know, all of the enzymes that are happening, and therefore our body doesn't digest as well. So drinking liquids with your meal should be reduced to the minimum amount, enough just to maybe swallow your capsules of your herbs, and that's it. All right? That's really important. Now, also, when you're drinking water before and after a meal, 15 to 10 minutes before you eat your meal is the best time to put in water, and then anywhere from about 30 minutes to an hour after your meal, depending on the size of your meal. If you're eating a steak, you're going to want to wait about an hour to start really hydrating again. But if you're eating something light, maybe you had a protein shake, a handful of nuts, waiting 20 to 30 minutes after that is the best time to start hydrating, because those foods are already going through the process of digestion and you're not hindering that process that's going on. Okay, so as far as what counts as water on the program. So what counts as water on the program is not your protein shake. So when we think about drinking your protein shake, that water in that protein shake does not count towards your minimum. Okay? But what does count is, of course, water in of itself. Lemon water, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in a moment, is will count towards hydration. Chlorophyll water will count towards hydration, and also Soul Stick Revive, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Those all will count towards hydration. If you're doing herbal teas that are truly herbal teas and not manipulated, those can count towards your hydration as well, as long as they are not caffeinated. If they are caffeinated, they don't count. All right? So that's how you want to count your water throughout the day. One of the best things to do, especially if you have a sluggish eliminative system, is to do lemon water first thing in the morning. It's also really good for balancing your pH, flushing out toxins from your kidney and your liver. While you sleep at night, your kidney and your liver are working on releasing or preparing to release toxins in the morning. So if you drink fresh lemon water in the morning, especially if it's warm, it's going to help aid in getting rid of those toxins. Plus you can get your boost on for getting yourself hydrated for the day as well. Okay? One of the other reasons, like I said, if you've got sluggish eliminations, drinking warm water in the morning is very, very beneficial to help kind of start the digestive process, and also just to kind of get things moving. No pun intended on that, all right? If you drink ice cold water in the morning or cold water, it actually chills the little hairs in your digestive system, which have already been fasting all night long. So you're not going to start your digestive process like we want to, which ups your metabolism. So you really want to stay away from cold, or especially ice cold water first thing in the morning, no matter who you are, because of that simple fact of that cold water hindering your digestion for the whole day, and your body having to work a little harder at doing that.
Do you have an issue with like ginger water?
As long as it's from ginger, fresh ginger, no, not at all. You can even do like cucumber water, and I know there's these infusions that people do. But if you go and you get like a sparkling carbohydrated water, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That's not hydrating. You know, but as long as it's like pretty normal, natural water, just with something natural added to it, then we're good to go on that. Here's a little handout that I've got actually from Jerry Ann, just on understanding what water does throughout the day. So this is a really nice one to have. Do you want another one? Yeah. Good to go. So I thought that was really cool that she's got that there. Some other things I wanted to make sure that I added as well is a kind of water. So first of all, I want everybody to raise your right hand and say, I will never drink tap water.
I will never drink tap water.
Good. Tap water is one of the worst waters that we can possibly drink, especially in the cities, of course, primarily because of the fluoride and the chlorine and all the other manipulation they do to the water in of itself. People flush their prescription drugs down the toilet. They wash them down the drain. You can imagine what kind of things go down and go back into the water supply, and it gets filtered, and then they add chlorine and fluoride to it, which further is deteriorating to our body. Actually, did you guys know that chlorine actually kills your good, or what will cause yeast to happen in your body as well. We've actually seen some residue with that. That's one of the reasons why you don't want to give your little girls baths in chlorinated water, is because of that particular issue in of itself. It changes the pH on that too. But chlorine, of course, we know is not healthy for us, but fluoride is something that actually is a residue from aluminum processing. Back in the early 1900s, they were trying to figure out what to do with this residue for producing aluminum, and they ended up selling it back to the major metropolitan cities as fluoride. And of course, now we've got fluoridation everywhere because they were saying it was cleaning the water, when in actuality, the typical person probably gets in up to 10 times more than the normal fluoride amounts you should have in one day, just because of tap water, brushing your teeth with it, whatever you're doing. So just really keeping in mind that tap water is something we definitely want to stay away from. If we want to look for the most optimal kind of water, we definitely want to go to a spring water. Spring water is more natural. It hasn't had a bunch of things removed and a bunch of things added. It's balanced. I remember the first time I saw salt on a bottled water, I freaked out. I was like, what? You know, but anyway, we really need to think about our water sources. Like I said, spring water is the best that you could possibly do. Reverse osmosis is acceptable. The only glitch I have with reverse osmosis is they put minerals back in, and it's not necessarily the minerals we can always absorb. We don't know what that source is. And then we've also got to be careful with the source of the spring water. So this all gets into a whole big thing, but I just want you guys to really be aware of where you can get your best water and hydrations. Now, the other thing is plastics and water. If you are purchasing water, I highly recommend you do it in bigger jugs because of the exposure of plastic. Plastic leaches into your water. We talk about that more when we get to the section on hormones and glandular health. But for right now, just understanding, if you're just buying the little 16 ounces, you are actually exposing yourself to a lot more residue of plastics, which is not healthy for you at all, no matter how you keep it, because we never know how it actually got to you, whether it was heated or not. So keeping that in mind is another thing I want you guys to think about moving forward. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
I mean, I don't store it in here, but I've been resorting to carrying these old bottles. It's got my spring water with the stevia water drops from the health food store.
Mhm.
But since it's a small bottle and putting it back in there, it would probably be better to get.
You
What
need to
kinds
get
of containers? I mean,
Stainless steel, like what
The
Jerry Ann and
stainless
George
steel,
have
yeah.
back there. The stainless steel containers are some of the best ones you can get. Second would be
Okay.
glass.
The glass.
Glass
Okay,
would be
okay.
excellent as
And
well.
I've seen, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just do that.
Yeah, and if you happen to get like a glass container and has a plastic lid on it, you want to make sure it says BPA free
Okay.
on all the plastic parts. You know, and that goes the same thing for stainless steel, because sometimes stainless steel will have like a plastic straw or something in there as
Or
well.
aluminum
But-
lining or something.
Yeah, or an aluminum, thank you, Pam. Yes, or an aluminum lining, which you definitely want to stay away from that. You
Okay.
want to really
A
reduce.
glass one with the aluminum lining?
Or stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
Make sure it's 100%.
Oh, I see
Yeah.
what you, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
100%. Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Now I'm questioning these cups.
Yeah, right. But yeah, you don't want to reuse plastic bottles,
Okay.
absolutely,
Yeah.
at all, never, if at all.
Okay.
I mean, that's, yeah, just,
You won't see this anymore.
okay. Just might be in my trash can, right, when you leave tonight, but otherwise, that's the only time I'll see it. All right, so we talked about lemon in the morning, so I wanted to give you a couple of ideas. So of course, we've got Solstick Revive, like I was talking about earlier. Solstick Revive is going to be your natural Gatorade replacement, or your electrolyte replacement. Of course, Gatorade is chock full of artificial colorings, corn syrup, all sorts of different chemicals that are not healthy for us and are all added in. Solstick Revive is going to have all your electrolytes. One thing I see with people in this program is they may be drinking the proper amounts of water, but yet their numbers don't go up. Some people have a little bit of a challenge actually hydrating, and the reason being is sometimes our bodies are blocked. We may have a lot of hardened minerals in our body, especially if we've been drinking water from out in the farming communities, because there's a lot of hard water out there, which actually is very difficult for us to actually absorb. If you think about what hard water does to like your bathtub or your toilets, you know, how it leaves that crusty thing and does the same thing in our bodies. I mean, it's minerals is all it is.
And the coffee makers.
Right, but it doesn't, it's not minerals that we can actually absorb. So what we want to do is we want to replace those hardened minerals with soft minerals that would naturally come from a plant, because that's what our body actually utilizes. And so the only way to flush hardened minerals is to get in the proper minerals, and that's why electrolytes are sometimes really necessary for some people, is because we're going through that flushing process. So I've got samples of the Soul Stick Revive for everybody to take tonight. I'd highly encourage you to take one of those. And then I've also got a sheet of information on it as well.
Will that flush out the hard water deposit?
It will definitely help. That and coconut water, both of those will actually do that.
Even though the coconut, you use the coconut water in your.
Yeah, it'll still help, because the coconut water is nature's natural Gatorade. It's got all your electrolytes in it, it's got everything in it. So that will still help, most definitely. But there's actually a formula that I've used with people who have a lot of hard minerals, where we do a distilled water flush first thing in the morning, and then that helps to, like, distilled water, since it doesn't have any minerals in it, it actually goes in and it attaches to hard minerals, and it pulls them out, and then you replace throughout the day with the proper minerals. So I actually have a formula for anybody who feels like they have a lot of hard minerals in their body, and we have to really take it to the next edge. So that is available, besides just doing Soul Stick Revive.
We need that.
Yeah, okay, well, we can talk about that later on and how to do that. But there's definitely a way to do that, because obviously hard minerals are really hard on your kidneys. That's the one thing we really gotta be
What
careful with.
about does the water softener make it worse?
A water softener actually does soften the minerals, so it's actually better, but depending on the company and how they're actually doing that is really hard to say. Most of the water softeners companies that I've talked to, I mean, they take out all the minerals there again, and then they put minerals back in sometimes, depending on what kind of system you have and how detailed it is. You know, whether you're just sending water to the faucets, to the showers, or to the laundry, or, you know, to the washing machines, or where it's going, you know. So you got to look at where that, you know, what contraptions they've got the water going through, and what they have it doing before it gets to whatever source we're talking about. Because if it's coming out of the tap, you know, it should be the best water, because that's your drinking water, that's your cooking water. But usually when you send it to, like, the showers, or you send it even to the wash machine, and it doesn't, it's not the better water. You know, so you just gotta look at your whole system.
We just have well water, that's why I was wondering if it.
Yeah,
Well, and it just, the well water goes to the water softener and then goes to everything in the house.
goes to everything in the house, yeah.
Well, of course, I'll drink out, I drink out of the fridge,
Yeah,
but he'll occasionally drink out of the faucet.
yeah.
So
I
it's
cook out
all
of it.
the same water.
Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
The fridge is has a filter.
Supposed to be filtered, yeah, yeah. And that's just a really tough one, because I've had filters where I filtered hard water, but yet over time it clogs up
I
really
didn't know,
super
like,
easy.
would like a Brita or one of those deals work?
It would be helpful, you know, just to be extra sure.
Yeah.
But there again, it just comes down to the company and the water softener and how that's all happening, you know. I mean, really, ultimately, you know, spring water there again is the best.
Yes.
But you may want to consider still flushing, do you know what I mean,
Yeah.
for anything that's happened in the past. And then, you know, then just use that sparingly for drinking. Maybe just use that for cooking only type of thing, you know, but your actual drinking water, you know, think about bumping that up a little bit, you know, because it's just really super important.
So would artesian well water be the same as spring or close?
Sometimes, depends on who's promoting it.
Okay, it'd be divine.
I know yeah. So I know a really popular brand of spring water all throughout, and they promote it as spring water, and it comes from a source that's really not so much spring water. You know what I mean? There's some technical legalities, you know, that they step around to make it sound like spring water. And I can taste the difference. I can taste it. I mean, I can taste the water. You can blindfold me and give me 3 different waters, and I can tell you which one is a spring water by the way it tastes. I can also tell you if it's a water that's been stored in plastic too long. I'm sensitive to that as well. In fact, I've purchased spring water before and have thrown it out because I knew that it had been exposed to plastic too long, it had been in the heat too long. So once you start developing your water senses you actually start to be able to figure that out. And it's funny because when you go to restaurants and you order water, I'm always able to tell, you know, like what they do. Oh yeah, we have a filter, you know, and you taste it, you're like, that's not no filter. No. So anyway, just something to think about moving forward. The other thing, of course, is the chlorophyll. And of course, this is our sample bottle, so be sure to try some of this if you haven't already. Liquid chlorophyll is a purifier for the blood. It's also alkalining. We eat a lot of acidic things and drink a lot of acidic things, so this really helps to alkaline our blood. It's really great for the kidneys. It's got a spearmint taste to it, and so by doing that, it actually helps a lot of people drink more water. I used to be one of those sorts that I wouldn't drink water at all because I didn't like the taste of it. Adding chlorophyll to my water helped out tremendously. For me, he don't like it, does he? Is he
No,
doing
it
good?
was me.
It's you,
He's
it's
always
you.
like,
She
it
always
doesn't have
said,
a
I don't
taste.
like water, and I said, what's not to like? Okay.
That's why.
That's why, exactly.
Because there's no taste.
Yeah, so chlorophyll helped me out tremendously a lot. And plus you get some really good minerals. This is another way to replace the good healthy plant minerals that are soft as we're getting rid of the hard minerals too. So that helps out tremendously on that avenue as well. Okay, any questions on water before we move on? Yes, ma'am?
And then one thing, Stick Revive, is that good for like after you've had the flu or something and you can't eat, can hardly drink? Wouldn't that be really
You
good
bet.
for that?
Anytime you need fluids and hydration, you know, if you had flu, had the runs, had, you know, you're exercising a lot, you know, that's just a really good time to be doing that to help really replace those electrolytes. Or you've been, you know, unusually sweating a lot, you know, really hot out, or working in the garden.
Yeah.
Any of those times you would benefit greatly from Stick Revive to help replenish those minerals that you would have naturally lost. Great question, great question. Okay, so next what I'd like for you guys to do is to grab your weekly In.Form checklist. Now I gave one of these to everybody tonight, and most of you, I put your numbers on this here for tonight. This is the weekly checklist we will be filling out every single week when you come to your In.Form classes. We're going to put your numbers, your BioTracker numbers on here, as well as your measurements if it's a week for measurements. And of course, what you're going to do after I give this to you is you're going to go ahead and take these numbers and transfer them into your book under week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever is appropriate. So that way you can keep track of those. So you're going to be doing that after you get those. And then of course, the big thing is this side over here on the right. This is where I really would like to get as much information as possible. I'm going to push this a little harder than I ever have in my classes before, because I really want more information so I can help each individual more and help to identify things as we're going through. So the first thing is homework read. Simple, you've got homework every single week. You're going to be either reading 1 or 2 modules depending on what we're going through. That's pretty much a simple yes or no. Hopefully your answer is yes. What was your SMART goal? I'm going to come back to that in a moment because we need to reinforce that from last week. Next is average H2O daily. Now I don't want you to say good or not enough, or what I want actual numbers. You need to start tracking your hydration.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I put. Yes.
Exactly. I want to know how much water you're drinking each day or each week on average. It's really super important. So, because that way we can really look at it. I think so many of us just drink water and we think we're drinking the right amount, and then we figure out, oh, gosh, you know, so I thought this was 32 ounces and it's only 20. You know, it's really important you get familiar with the ounces on your water, and so that way you can accurately put that in. So I really want to have an average of what you're getting in. I mean, it could be I'm getting an average of 75 ounces, or I'm getting an average of 80 to 100 ounces. I mean, whatever, but I need something specific on the water, all right? Protein shakes in. How many protein shakes per day are we supposed to do?
2.
2, exactly. And how many scoops?
2.
2, right, good answer. So what I want you to do is I want you to write on here how well you did. If you got 2 protein shakes in twice a day for all 7 days, you'll just put 7 out of 7, or 7/7. If you did it 5 days out of the week, 5 out of 7. Just give me an idea how consistent you were, okay, on getting your 2 protein shakes in twice a day, okay? Berberine probiotic. Now berberine and probiotic we take how many times per day?
3.
3. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Okay, so same thing. If you did it all week, 7 out of 7, right? 7 out of 7 for them. Cardio pack, this little packet right here. How many of these do we take a day?
2. Oh wait, 1
1,
Yeah.
right? And when do we take it?
night.
At night or with our evening meal. Same thing. If you did it 7 out of 7, right? 7 out of 7. Did it 4 nights out of 7? 4 out of 7. Just be specific. Food journal input. Hopefully everybody has started something or got something organized to keep track of their food journal. Mood, energy, that's something I definitely want to keep track of because that's going to help me see what's going on, if there's any adjustments that need to be made. Bowel eliminations, we're going to talk about that a little bit more tonight, but I would like as much information as possible. You don't have to give me complete details, but give me an idea of how many we're going per times a day. You know, I'm going once a day on average. I had a couple days I went twice a day, whatever it is, but help me get familiar with what's happening so that way I can help you moving forward. Exercise. So exercise, of course, is going to be different for everybody. Like, for instance, my exercise goal this week was to take at least 7,500 steps per day. So that was my exercise. So I would just put on there, you know, out of the 7 days, I did it 6 out of the 7 days. I got to my goal of 7,500 steps per day. So whatever your exercise goal is going to be, because if you remember right from last week, we're setting a specific exercise goal. AM protein within the hour. We're going to talk about that more today. So that'd be kind of a yes or no or type of 5 out of 7 days, whatever that works as. And then a meal every 2 to 3 hours. And I really want you to focus on your accomplishments as well. Make sure you write down for the week what kind of accomplishment you had. If that accomplishment was just simply walking more steps, then put that down. But we need to look at our progress, all right? And of course, any challenges you may have had. You didn't feel well, you had a wedding to go to, whatever it may be. If there's a challenge, please write that down. And of course, there's another section there for please list any additional supplements. So please, if you're taking anything outside of the IN.Form program, please let me know. And then comments or concerns to be discussed privately. Of course, this is your place to put something down if you need to talk to me privately sometime throughout the week before the next class. So any questions on your weekly IN.Form checklist? Okay, of course you're going to turn this in when you're done at night, or done with the class at night in the inbox right there above Christy's head. Okay, so let's go back and talk about our SMART goals. So remember from last week, we need to make SMART goals every single week. Now these are our weekly goals that we are doing for the week only. They need to be specific. Not, I'm going to walk more steps. I'm going to walk at least 7,500 steps per day. Be specific. Make sure it's measurable. Not, I'm going to drink more water. Let's talk about how much more water you're going to drink, or your goal. Make sure you're accountable, that you're the one who's accountable for this, not a spouse or anybody else. Make sure it's realistic. You want to make sure that you're doing something you can definitely attain, but you don't want to make it too easy either at the same time. But make it realistic and time-bound. Time-bound is for 1 week. 1 week from here, from tonight till next Tuesday night when we meet. That is the time that we're doing these goals. And you're doing 2 goals per week at minimum. The first goal is going to be based on either nutrition, your water, or your supplements. The second goal is on exercise specifically. So when you go to fill out these weekly IN.Form checklists for me, in the SMART goal area, you're going to have 2 goals that you're going to write down that you had for the week. So I know what you had. Now, most all of you know I'm doing this program with you. My goals this week specifically were to get in 7,500 steps a day, as I mentioned before. I did that 6 out of 7. And then my nutritional / water / supplement goal was to get at least 80 ounces of water in per day, which I did 6 of the 7 days as well. You know, so that I would write that in there. Those were my 2 goals. All right, so I want you to make sure you're writing in your goals every single week. You don't have to share them, but it's always kind of nice if we do share them because I think it helps, you know, just encourage everybody else. So your 2 specific SMART goals will go here for the week that you just went through. All right, and then tonight we'll set new goals for this next week. We'll talk about that later on tonight. Any questions on setting SMART goals?
What was the R? Oh, realistic.
Realistic. I'll put it up there for you. The other thing I want you to do, which is different tonight, is I also had you set a 9-week goal last week. What would you like to accomplish in 9 weeks on this program? Just to share with you what mine is, I want to get back on the In.Form routine. I want to lose body fat, lower my metabolic age, and lose inches, as well as continue to balance my blood sugars. My blood sugars have been a little bit more out of whack since I haven't been paying attention to my program. Eating a few too many scones. I make some darn good ones too, let me tell you. Even if they are low sugar. Anyway, that's, huh?
Are you gonna bring any?
You know, I might at the end of class. But they
Are we doing the meal thing again?
We can, because we've got a small enough group to do that. Yeah, most of that'd be fun. I really like doing those. So that's my 9-week goal. That's what I'm looking to do in the next 9 weeks. You guys all should have written your 9-week goal at the end of module number 1 in your In.Form manual. I would like for you to take that 90-day goal and write it at the bottom of your weekly In.Form checklist down here for me. That way I can know what everybody's 9-week goal is. So before you turn this paper in tonight, you're going to write down here at the bottom left what your 9-week goal is for being on this program. And it could be anything. You want to get off a prescription drug, you want more energy, just want to learn more about nutrition. It can be anything. But it's something that you are focusing on over the next 9 weeks, so I can help facilitate that as your In.Form coach. All right, any questions? Well, does anybody want to share? Hey, I'll leave some more tickets out. Oops. I don't have another one.
It was underneath there, you kind of moved it.
There it is. Okay. All right. Who wants to share their 2-week goal from last week? 2-week goal. Their SMART goal from last week. One of their 2 SMART goals from last week. Who wants to share?
I am gonna drink 84 or more ounces of water a day.
Okay, so 84
Every day.
84 plus ounces of water per day.
Yeah.
How many days did you make it?
Well, not very many, but my deal said I averaged 58,
Okay.
because I've got on my Fitbit,
Yep. That's what I'm doing too. I'm using my Fitbit to calculate that.
That's so she can find her Fitbit.
I found it I lost it.
You and me, but mine has a short battery now, so I'm like, oh dang, I lost 4,000 steps just today.
Yeah. So I went, well, because I had like 56, 32, 48, 88, 80, 104. Sunday I only had 40, and then I had 104 today.
Okay. Well, I'm really happy you're keeping track. That's fabulous. Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else want to share your goal from last week? Your SMART goal? No? Didn't have one? Did you have one, Christy? All right. Well, we're all going to have them tonight, right? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. I just want to reinforce on the In.Form program real quickly our formula for success with In.Form. As I've mentioned to you several times, it's not a weight loss program. This is about a lifestyle awareness that takes us into healthy ventures from here on out, past our time together. But the success for In.Form is to increase our water, is going to bring down our body fat. You'll notice frequently as you go through the program, as your H2O percentages increase on your biotracker, you'll see your body fat percentages come down almost equal or within a few points of it. But more water is going to help us decrease our body fat. Muscle mass. We want our muscle mass to go up to help us lose weight. Can anybody tell me how we may increase our muscle mass?
Exercise.
Protein, exercise. And we're going to talk about that more a little bit tonight. But we want our muscle mass to increase. And the way we do that is by drinking more protein, getting some exercise, and make sure we're digesting our protein properly as well. And of course, by doing that, that's going to bring our weight down. Now, our weight may not go down immediately like mine did this last week for me. My weight I think went up 1.4, but my muscle mass went up almost 3 pounds. So the weight that I did gain was actually muscle mass, which is going to eventually bring me down in my weight as my body gets used to that higher muscle mass. So that's our formula as we work through this program. Just to bring it up, of our last class that we just finished last fall, of 8 participants, And these participants participated, I would say 80 to 90% the whole way when it came to the nutrition and the supplements and the exercise, 80 to 90%. They lost over 42.5 inches between 8 participants. And that's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to lose weight as much as we're looking to lose inches, if that's something in your category for goals. The average person lost 5.25 inches per person. And that's pretty significant, and that was in 12 weeks that they did that. So just to reinforce that that's what we're here to do. And our highest person lost 12 3/8 inches in 12 weeks. And then that was with our lowest person who lost 12 7/8. And he happened to be really healthy when he walked in the door. So, you know, I counted him in the numbers, but you know, he really doesn't count. Just kidding. All right, so I just want to reinforce that real quick. Next thing I want to do is I want to share a quote with you by Socrates. Socrates stated that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Focus all of our energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that's really important at this stage of the game with this In.Form class just starting for us. We need to not be focusing on all of our bad habits or the things that we crave right now, because literally if we continue to focus on the good things, on the things, the habits that we're building, those will eventually override all of those old ways. We don't have to fight any of them. All we need to do is focus on building, focus on getting more water in, focus on getting our proper nutrition in, focus on getting the proper supplements and shakes in at the right times. Those are the things we want to continue focusing on. Not on, oh, I just really could use a donut right now. Okay? Because what's going to happen, as you
cover
can...
that donut up.
There we go. Because really what's going to happen is if you're craving something that's not so healthy for you, as we change that microbiome balance, as that bad bacteria shrinks and as that good bacteria gets bigger, the good bacteria is going to have the vote. And you're not going to be craving the donuts, you're not going to be craving the coffees, you're not going to be craving the sweets, you're not going to be craving the things that you feel addicted in our old habits to right now. Remember, 21 days to create a habit, 90 days to create a lifestyle. And that's what we're here to do. All right, so let's go ahead and get to our protein module number 4. So we are going to go ahead and head to page number 31 in your In.Form manuals. And this manual, this protein module is going to cover the importance of protein. We're going to talk about protein specifically, how to digest it, signs of not digesting it properly, and how digestion basically works when it comes to protein. But it's important you understand how protein works and the sources of protein that we need to be getting into. So before we really start hitting in on protein, on page number 32, we're going to talk about the BMI, which is a body mass index. Of course, you'll see your heading says basically misleading information. The BMI is something most doctors use to establish whether you are overweight or obese or not. And it's based on 2 factors, based on your gender and based on your height. It's not based on your bone mass. It's not based on whether you're more of a small, petite person or you're a bigger, robust person with more bone mass. It's not based on whether you carry more muscle or if you carry less muscle. It's not based on any of those particulars, and those particulars are very important. So we want to make sure we're releasing any type of habits we have towards looking at the BMI and thinking about that. Have you ever been to the doctor and they said, oh, well, according to your BMI, you're overweight? We want to release that because that's not the totality of your health. A really good picture to give us an idea of what's going on with that is 5 pounds of fat versus 5 pounds of muscle. This is what 5 pounds of fat looks like in real life, and this is what 5 pounds of muscle would look like in real life. They weigh the same, but they have a very, very different density and mass to them, don't they? We're looking for lean muscle mass. We're looking to increase this. Do you imagine if you have more lean muscle mass that you're going to lose inches? Yeah, because this is going to go away. When I went through the Jenny Craig program back in the early 90s, I was 183 pounds. And as my dad would tell me, I was pleasantly plump. Dad, am I fat? No, you're just pleasantly plump. So when I look at pictures of myself from back then, I was plump, most definitely. This is a picture of me after doing some hardcore working out at 183 pounds in the early 2000s. Not pleasantly plump at all. At all. Same weight, different construction of muscle mass. Just want to make sure we get it through our heads. This is one of the reasons why when I preach protein, 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 there's a reason why. We're building muscle, repairing tissue, and a bunch of other things that we're going to talk about tonight. So protein is what's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Adults require at least 30 grams of protein at each meal, and I'm going to show you a formula for this in a moment. And we don't want to be eating 65% of our protein needs for dinner. We need protein all throughout the day. In fact, it's most important to get that protein within an hour of waking up. Just like when you're sleeping at night, you're going to be dehydrated. You're also going to be short on protein. You're protein deficient just as much as you're water deficient. Your body's using protein at night for all sorts of different processes that we're going to talk about a little bit more in a moment. But when you wake up in the morning, one of the first things your body needs besides water is protein. And it needs it within an hour of waking up. An hour of waking up. And as adults, we need at least 30 grams of protein. Reason being is when we're children, we have an abundance of hormones going on. Hormones that we're growing from and our bodies are adjusting and we're getting prepared for adulthood. Abundance of hormones is naturally made. But after we cross our mid-20s, we stop producing those hormones on our own, and we start relying on food to produce a lot of those hormones. So there's a certain combination of hormones and of amino acids, which we'll talk about in a moment, that actually you need first thing in the morning to actually start producing your hormones for the day. But you need at least 30 grams of protein to do that. You can't just get by with 10 grams or 15 grams. It's not enough to jumpstart your system for the day for making those hormones and a few other body processes that need to go on. If you have any issues with focus or with memory, it's imperative you get that protein in first thing in the morning. If you have issues with feeling tired or worn out, low energy, late morning, in the afternoon, you need to get that protein in, and it needs to be scheduled throughout the whole day. Your body uses protein at night as well as all throughout the day. And so when you become protein deficient, blood sugars become unbalanced, don't have as much focus, may have ADD, ADHD, all of those things start to happen. Your hormones are not being made properly. Many things don't happen properly. So we need to make sure we're focusing on getting that protein in A all throughout the day and B first thing within an hour of waking up.
Is that, when you're talking about hormones, is that even like menopausal?
You bet. You bet.
Okay.
You bet. It all has to do with that. Because hormones are varied. I mean, insulin is a hormone, right?
Yeah.
Just as much as estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and all of those. So yeah, they're in the same category. So a lot of times, that's one of the reasons why we've seen on this particular program, women who've had hormonal issues. I particularly had a gal who was in her late 20s, had some crazy PMS stuff going on, and when she started doing protein on a regular basis, I mean, her hormones just like shifted. Her cycles got normal, skin cleared up, just things happened that wasn't happening before. And that's all because she was getting more protein in, plus doing a few other things on the nutritional program as well. But that was one of the main sources of it. So your formula for protein during the day, that one's not going to work. Let's get a different one. Start over. 30 grams of protein for breakfast, 7 grams for your snack, 30 grams of protein for lunch, 7 grams for snack, 30 grams for dinner. This is going to give you 104 grams of protein per day. We are shooting in this program for about 100 grams of protein per day. George, you might be a little bit more, okay, due to your size, or height specifically. This is a perfect formula for helping us be balanced, focused, hormonally in check, blood sugars in check, throughout the day. Now, I know it's hard to get this perfectly down, but this is the thing we need to visualize as we're looking at protein throughout the day.
So, question.
Yes.
What time should our last meal be?
Your last meal should be at 8 o'clock at night if you're going to bed between 10 and 11. So I always say 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed is when you should have your last meal. You don't want your body having to focus on digesting food while you're sleeping when it's actually supposed to be working on other things instead.
But if you eat before that, that's okay, right?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
You don't need another snack then before you go to bed?
You don't need one, no. I mean, as long as you got your protein in, I mean, but if you're short on your protein, you might want to think about having a handful of nuts.
Okay.
You want, you know? I mean, if you're only at like 80 grams of protein for the day, I would definitely have a little bit of a protein snack before you go to bed. You know, I definitely don't short your protein for that. You just don't want to have a bowl of ice cream, even though it does have a little protein in it. Called you out, George.
Well,
Called you out.
he puts pecans on it,
That's what pecans on.
and caramel.
So you're having a protein snack and it's only an hour before your bedtime. Is that still okay?
Yes.
Because you need to get your protein.
As long as it's a protein snack,
Yes,
it's
only
easily
the
digestible.
protein,
I would
yeah.
really don't want to see you eating a steak.
No.
Yeah, but something that's either the nuts, the protein shake, something that's
Yeah,
easily
okay,
digestible.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just to get the protein in, because your body's gonna need it for while you sleep, okay? So this means we need to be creative about our morning protein, especially if you're me and I prefer to do a smoothie. I don't like to eat things in the morning, I never have liked to eat in the morning, which has been my detriment. So I do a smoothie in the morning, so I don't have to eat anything technically, but yet I'm getting something in. So if we do 2 scoops of protein in the morning, or In.Form shake, and a smoothie, that's only gonna give us 20 grams of protein, right? Because there's 10 grams of protein per scoop. So we need to get creative in the morning if you're gonna use this for your first hour of protein in the morning. You need to get creative. There's all sorts of different ways to do that. Last week we put the organic hemp seed hearts, we put a tablespoon of those in our protein shake, that added 3 grams of protein. You may want to add peanut butter, cashew milk, which we're going to look at making some of that, and you having that as an example for one of our smoothies that we're going to do during this 9 weeks. But we need to be creative at what else can we do to make that better. Now, I have had some people who just do the 2 scoops of protein and then they have an egg, a hard-boiled egg. That will work, okay? Personally, what I do is I do the organic hemp seed hearts and I add a little extra protein above the 2 scoops. That's what I do. But be thinking about that in the morning. What can you do to get your grams of protein in? Because it needs to be at least 30 grams before an hour is up after waking. Any questions? All right, let's move on. Page number 33. So before I get into this, I want to talk to you a little bit about protein and the breakdown of protein. First of all, you need to understand protein is blueprinted by your DNA. Your DNA is blueprints of proteins. That's how integral protein is to our system. Proteins actually break down into something called amino acids. So we've got our fats, we've got our carbs, and we've got our proteins, right? Well, those are all just big nutritional words that constitute an umbrella of a bunch of little things underneath, okay? And protein happens to be amino acids. The best way to think about amino acids, there's 22 of them, by the way, that they've discovered so far. 22 amino acids. And if you think of a chain link with all the different links that go together, those are all amino acids. So if you got your protein, which is this chain link of all these different types of amino acids. Some of these amino acids are essential. Essential means you need to eat them. You need to put them in your body. Your body does not make them. And then you have a few non-essential, which your body makes on its own, if it has the right ingredients to do so. Can't make the cake if you don't have the ingredients to make the cake, right? So it's very imperative, I know.
You gotta use cake
That's right.
as the example.
So
Mine over here.
That's the protein shake.
I counted the donut, I mean, come on.
That's the protein shake. She says that cake, it tastes like cake mix.
Yeah, that's true.
I know,
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
your
Watered
cake batter.
down cake batter.
So these amino acids all have very important roles, and they are literally involved in every process in your body. That's why they are a blueprint of your DNA. And we need a wide range of these amino acids. We don't need just a bunch of them from chicken or a bunch of them from beef. We need a wide range of them, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But these amino acids all have special jobs in your body, all right? For instance, L-glutamine. All your amino acids are going to have a capital L and a dash and then the word after it. That's how you identify what an amino acid is if you're reading anything on the internet or looking into any information. L-glutamine is specifically known to help repair the gut lining. So in our small intestine is where we absorb our nutrients, and the nutrients go to the bloodstream, and the bloodstream carries it to all the different cells and all the different tissues that need those particular nutrients, right? We have these little junctures that fit nicely together, much like a puzzle piece. What happens is when over time we don't treat our gut right, we may have leaky gut, these junctures start to move apart. And what happens is undigested materials, undigested proteins, undigested toxins, you never know what it could be, start to move out of those junctions and into the bloodstream. I used to do live blood analysis with one of the people that helped get me into this whole natural health thing over 20 years ago. And we would actually look at people's live blood on a microscope, on a dark microscope, and you could see these particles of undigested proteins and chemicals and whatever they were floating around in the bloodstream, when it should be just nice little pretty red blood cells and nice little pretty white blood cells all working together. But this happens when we do not take care of our gut over time. Most all of us have leaky gut to some level or another. L-glutamine is the amino acid that helps bring these junctures back together and helps make them tight again. L-arginine, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the heart section, but L-arginine is specifically another amino acid for the heart. It helps that heart muscle be strong. All right? L-theanine. L-theanine is for your brain. When you ingest a protein that's got L-theanine in it, it goes to your brain and it helps with focus and memory and proper function of the brain. Another one. Losing my place here. L-histidine. L-histidine repairs tissues. L-lysine. L-lysine is really important for children because it helps with their growth and development. But L-lysine is also a preventative for herpes or mouth sores. If you have stress going on and you have a tendency towards mouth sores, and you don't have enough lysine in your system, then you're going to have those things come up. So that was just 5 of them that I named. But like I said, there's 22 of them. But just to give you an idea, so we got this category of protein, but it does all these different things. It balances our hormones. It helps us with our insulin and helping to balance our blood sugars, insulin being a hormone, right? So protein has a really big job in our bodies. You can see here they talk about how eating protein-rich diets is going to help with type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, muscle loss, heart disease, ADD and ADHD in children specifically. You can eradicate over 50% of all ADD and ADHD. Who's ADD now? Over 50% just by giving children protein in the morning instead of giving them a sugary Pop-Tart or a cereal or a load of pancakes with a bunch of syrup on it. That alone can change a child's day and change a diagnosis. All right? Focus, memory, all sorts of things. We don't have time to go through all of it tonight, but I just want to make sure you understand the impact of protein. Page number 34. Page number 34, I'm going to let you pretty much read through that on your own. I just want to make sure you understand what this page is telling us is that we need to look at our sources of protein. If you're aiming for 28 grams of protein in a meal, you can eat 1 cup of cottage cheese and get that. But if you're going to eat if you're going to try and get 28 grams of protein from nuts, you're going to input 800 calories. That's why nuts are a snack, not a meal, when it comes to protein in our nutritional program, okay? So we need to look at the sources of our protein and make sure we understand the impact that has on our body, okay?
Can you eat too much protein?
As long as you're digesting it, no. And as long as it's varied, no. There's, some people have issues because they think medically it's really hard on the kidneys, when really what that comes down to is, are you digesting it properly? And are you balancing it with alkaline foods? Because proteins generally are more acidic. So there's that little debate going on. But if you're eating your fruits and you're eating your vegetables and you're eating all the leafy greens and things that we're supposed to be eating, you're fine. You're good to go.
So how could you tell if you was eating too much because you're out of balance? You know, like you said, you're not eating. What would be a sign that you was getting
Like
too
you're
much
not-
protein?
You're not digesting it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna
How would
talk
you
about
know?
that in a moment.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
cover all of that. Great question.
Jumping the gun.
I'll put it down now.
All right, page number 35. So there's this little thing called sarcopenia, fun little word, that sets in for us when we age and we don't exercise enough and we don't get enough protein in. So sarcopenia really starts to set in if you don't do either one of those after your 30s. We want to prevent that. I'm going to let you read through that page in your homework and learn more about it. But for right now, what I want you to get out of this is that 65% of your total body weight needs to be muscle